Rory Calhoun, born Francis Timothy McCown on August 8, 1922, in Los Angeles, did not arrive in Hollywood carrying polish or privilege. His childhood in Santa Cruz, shaped by instability and a troubled home environment, pushed him into rebellion at a young age. Like many young men of his era who lacked guidance, he made poor decisions that brought him into contact with the juvenile justice system. Those early years were marked by survival rather than aspiration, and by his late teens, he was drifting through life without direction. Yet those same experiences hardened him, giving him a toughness and authenticity that later translated powerfully on screen. After serving time and being released while still very young, Calhoun resolved to rebuild his life. He took on demanding physical jobs that grounded him in discipline and responsibility, unknowingly laying the foundation for the rugged screen persona that would later define his Hollywood career. Reinvention and discovery by Hollywood power brokers, Calhoun's transformation from troubled youth to movie star was no accident of fate, but a carefully guided reinvention. His tall frame, rugged looks, and quiet intensity caught the attention of powerful Hollywood agent Henry Wilson, a man notorious for shaping raw young men into studio-friendly stars. Wilson saw potential where others saw risk. He arranged screen tests, polished Calhoun's image, and gave him a new name designed to sound strong, Irish, and marketable. Under this new identity, Rory Calhoun began landing small film roles that emphasized his physical presence rather than refined acting technique. Slowly, audiences took notice. His breakout performance in Way of a Gaucho in 1952 positioned him as a natural fit for westerns, a genre hungry for tough, believable leading men. By the mid-1950s, Calhoun was firmly established as a dependable Hollywood presence, riding a steady wave of success, building a career on rugged masculinity. Throughout the 1950s and 1960s, Rory Calhoun became synonymous with westerns and action-driven storytelling. He starred in a string of films that leaned heavily on his image as a self-reliant, physically capable American male. Unlike more polished leading men, Calhoun's appeal lay in his rawness. He looked like someone who belonged outdoors, on horseback, or facing danger without complaint. Films such as The Silver Whip, Powder River, and The Spoilers reinforced this persona, while River of No Return placed him alongside major stars and expanded his visibility. Television further solidified his popularity, particularly with The Texan, where he played a wandering cowboy seeking justice. By the end of the decade, Calhoun was not a prestige star, but he was reliable, recognizable, and respected within his niche. A personal life that refused to stay quiet. Behind the scenes, Calhoun's personal life was anything but orderly. His marriages, romantic entanglements, and eventual divorces frequently drew attention, reinforcing his reputation as a restless and impulsive figure. While much of this remained background noise during his peak years, it contributed to an image of unpredictability that studios quietly noted. Calhoun never worked under the same level of protective studio control enjoyed by bigger stars, which meant fewer barriers between his private life and public perception. Despite this, he remained employed and visible, raising children, investing in ranch life, and even forming his own production company. He was never positioned as a pristine romantic idol, but rather as a rough-edged, masculine figure whose flaws were seen as part of the package. That difference would later make him uniquely vulnerable when Hollywood needed a distraction. Hollywood's obsession with image control. To understand how Rory Calhoun became expendable, it is essential to understand the culture of 1950s Hollywood. Studios did not merely produce films, they manufactured identities. Public images were tightly controlled, especially for stars whose appeal depended on fantasy and romance. Any detail that threatened box office profitability was buried, redirected, or traded away. Gossip magazines played a critical role in this ecosystem, operating as both threat and tool. They could destroy careers, but they could also be guided towards safer targets, Agents like Henry Wilson were masters of this shadow economy, negotiating silence in one area by feeding scandal in another. The system was ruthless but effective. Stars with massive financial backing were shielded, while those with less studio investment were left exposed. Rory Calhoun, despite his success, occupied a dangerous middle ground in this hierarchy. The rising stakes around Rock Hudson. At the same time Calhoun was enjoying steady success, Rock Hudson was becoming one of Hollywood's most valuable leading men. Groomed carefully as the ideal romantic hero, Hudson represented millions in studio investment. His appeal relied heavily on a carefully maintained public image that aligned with conservative expectations of masculinity and romance. Any rumor that challenged that image posed a serious financial threat. Behind closed doors, Hollywood insiders were aware of aspects of Hudson's private life that could not safely reach the public. In that climate, studio executives and agents were willing to go to extreme lengths to protect him. The goal was not fairness, but containment. When pressure from gossip circles intensified, someone else needed to absorb attention. That someone had to be believable, scandal-ready, and less protected. Rory Calhoun, with a sealed past and fewer defenders, fit the role perfectly. The strategic exposure of a buried past. In 1955, a major gossip magazine published an exposé revealing Rory Calhoun's youthful criminal history. These events had occurred long before his Hollywood career and were already known within industry circles, but they had never been widely publicized. The timing was not accidental. By redirecting public curiosity toward Calhoun's past, Hollywood successfully shifted attention away from far more dangerous rumors elsewhere. The story framed Calhoun as a man with a hidden history, undermining his credibility as a heroic figure. While the revelations did not accuse him of current wrongdoing, the damage was immediate. Studios became cautious, leading roles dwindled, and his upward momentum stalled. Calhoun did not publicly fight the story. Whether out of resignation or lack of power, he absorbed the blow quietly, continuing to work, but never fully reclaiming his former trajectory. The cost of being the safer target. Calhoun's career did not end overnight, but it changed permanently. He transitioned from leading man status into supporting roles, television appearances, and later, cult films. Meanwhile, Rock Hudson's career flourished uninterrupted, bolstered by continued studio support and carefully managed publicity. The contrast was stark. Calhoun had paid the price not for present actions, but for being the most convenient option in a system that valued profit over loyalty. This was not an official sacrifice, but an understood one. No contracts documented the exchange, yet the outcome spoke for itself. Calhoun remained employed, but the ceiling had lowered. His experience exposed the brutal reality of Golden Age Hollywood, where image protection functioned like triage. Those deemed less valuable were expected to endure reputational damage for the greater good of the industry machine. Reinvention through cult and late career roles. Rather than disappearing, Calhoun adapted. In the 1970s and 1980s, he found renewed relevance in unconventional films that embraced camp, satire, and genre experimentation. Movies like Night of the Lepus, Motel Hell, and Angel allowed him to subvert his earlier image and connect with new audiences. These roles revealed a performer willing to laugh at himself and explore darker or stranger material. His performances carried a self-awareness that endeared him to cult film fans. Unlike his earlier work, these films did not depend on him being a spotless hero. Instead, they celebrated his experience and presence. This phase of his career demonstrated resilience and adaptability, proving that while Hollywood's system had sidelined him, it had not broken his connection to audiences or his willingness to evolve. Final years and a complicated legacy. Rory Calhoun passed away in 1999 at the age of 76 after years of declining health. By then, his story had become a quiet cautionary tale among film historians. He was remembered as a charismatic actor, a survivor of a harsh system, and a man who absorbed blows without bitterness. His legacy is inseparable from the Hollywood machine that shaped and ultimately used him. While Rock Hudson's story later reshaped public understanding of studio-era secrecy, Calhoun's role in that history remains less widely discussed. Yet his experience reveals how image control operated behind the scenes, with real human consequences. Rory Calhoun was not destroyed, but he was diminished for reasons beyond his control. His life stands as evidence that in classic Hollywood, talent mattered, but power mattered more.